our homes and then go away for 5-6 weeks. And we did.
Which year was that? 19.
This was 1947 in June, early May, June. The things started blurbing around that we should move and there is a petition coming and there might be bloodshed and it's safer for you to go out. One of our community elders didn't want to do that. He said, no, I won't go out of my house. My house is my house and I'll stay here whether it's Pakistan or India. Eventually, he was persuaded at the last minute to move. And we did move and we ordered the tongas in the previous day, and then early morning we all packed our bag. And this man who was our leader, he came around to our houses to find out what we were taking. And it still sticks in my mind that my father had his master voice radio about 18-inch long and this height. And she said my father fancied that. So she wrapped that up in sheets and put it on the front room table. And he came down and he said, oh, sister, he called everybody sister. Sister, what's in there? Oh, she said, that's my husband's radio. His master voice, he fancied that and he'll miss it if it's left behind. Oh, no, he said, you can't take that. If it falls, it'll blow up like a bomb. It was just to scare her off. And my mother was simple enough, and because my mother wasn't educated at that time, whenever money order came, she used to count them in 20s. 120, 220, 325, 21. And she said she believed him, and we left that radio on the table. I could still visualize it, see it. But next morning we got on the tongas, and a lot of the Muslim blokes who were mostly Tongas blokes on that road at the time, they were snickering at us, but we didn't take any notice, and we came to the cantonment, Lahore cantonment railway station, and caught a train from there. All the families got together and got into the train, and the train was going to go to Patiala, but we had to change at Bathinda railway station. And when the train arrived in Bathinda, we all got off at the platform. And because there were 10 families with about 15 children, and it was a big sort of rush on that platform, and one guy who was friend of our leader was getting off at Bathinda, and he said, where are you all going? And our leader said, oh, we're going to Patiala. No, he said, don't go there. There is always already tension there. People are cutting each other. So I wouldn't go there. Instead, go to Bikaner. So with that in mind, our plan was changed, and we got, instead of Patiala, we went to Bikaner. Once we arrived in Bikaner, we came to this homeless place. And he said, the 2 or 3 of the people said, you all stay here with the kids and we'll go look for an accommodation. And they went around and eventually came up to a place called in Rani Bazaar in Bikaner, with a big place which had a very big gate, and you could walk through it for about 150 yards, and at the the end of that, there were rooms, and there were about 10, 12 empty rooms. So each and every one occupied one small room, small as about this size. And we stayed there, and eventually when 15th of August came, we found that the Pakistan has been established, and we are not going to be able to go back. And then started writing letters to the people who were here in this country, including my father. So my father replied back and said he will eventually come to Iraq very soon as he can. Because did say that before that it was a routine for our people to come to Britain, single people, and they would come here to earn money and then go back to India, spend 3-4 months there, and then start all over again. But this trend was kept on going all the time, and when they used to go back to India, they didn't used to do any work because they worked hard here. And in 1947, it used to snow here. It used to be more colder than what it is now. And they used to do very hard work, and they were going home to relax. But they would relax so much that they would spend all their earned money, not even leaving any money to go back and to buy train ticket to on the plane or whatever. And they used to go and borrow money from the moneylender. The moneylender, as always, didn't give you money free of charge, and they used to take some gold ornament of their wives to put there and have some money. The money they would have would be to leave behind for the family something, then enough money to travel, enough money to get to come to Britain and survive till you started working again. And they used to be mostly business people selling stuff door to door. Because once you were seen wearing a turban, no factory used to give you a job to work in the factory. So this was something that original people who started this, they used to go around door by door selling clothes mostly. And they used to come and do that and then earn enough money.
Why they refuse jobs to people?
Because they didn't know what Sikhs were, why they were wearing turban, why they had beard. I'll give you an instance that my father used to tell me that one day they started from home to go and do business in some area, and then the night fell and the weather got bad, so they usually had to go to the police station to ask for help to get them an accommodation, and the police station said, okay, we'll get you an accommodation. And they had a big room like this, and it was Saturday night. Next day was Sunday, and Sunday is a traditional day for our Sikhs to bath and wash their hair, wash their beard, and then do a bit of praying. And this morning they got up 5-6 o'clock in the morning, and all had bath. Their hair, most of them probably minimum of 18-inch long. They had it behind their head, and they were all sitting calmly till the landlady walked in. And when she saw every one of them with open hair, she screamed, went downstairs and rang the police and say, "Oh, please get them out of my house." She didn't ask any question, but then the police arrived and they said, "We're sorry, but if she wants you out, you have to go out." So that was the routine.
So you stayed in Bikaner in India for how long?
We stayed in Bikaner for nearly uh, at the end of 1947. And then my father came, and before he came, his father, his brother, his cousins, they all asked him to try and help our family as well because they knew that we were all living together in Bikaner.
So they wanted their families in UK.
They wanted to bring the family back to UK. And my father went there and he went to Bikaner and saw a chap who used to issue passports, became friendly with him, and he said, "Yes, you come along to me with photographs and their name and addresses and age of children, and we'll do it." So from there on, my father made passport of all the families who wanted to go to Britain, and then he wrote letters to all his relatives and say, "If you want to go to Britain, please come and see me." And they came down and he made their passport as well. And then once the passports were made, he took them to Bombay and put them on cargo ships. When I say cargo ship were cheaper than the passenger ship. The cargo ship would usually carry 8 people maximum. If they carry any more, then they would have to have a doctor there. So it was up to 8 people, and my father sent some families, my sister, his cousins, and other people all went on these cargo ships. And other people who didn't go to Bombay, they went to Colombo and other ports to try and get a ship there.
So you was in that cargo ship with them?
No, we stayed behind. My father stayed behind and sent everybody off. And then he brought us back to from Bikaner to Bombay. And when we came to Bombay, we couldn't find an accommodation. And believe it or not, we stayed on a footpath with the sheet over our head to not to for people to see who were sitting there. And my father used to go every day to the airport to try see if we can get a ship partly chartered or something or other. And then he used to come back and say, "Not on, not good today." But eventually, he came one day and told my mother, "Get ready, we going."
And that was in 19 which year?
That was still in November, December of 1947. And he said, "We are going, we got a plane to catch." And my mother was cooking rice pulao, and she said, "What shall I do with that?" He said, "Tip it on the footpath to let's go." And once we got to the airport, the plane got delayed again. So my father talked to the plane people and say, "Well, this is not, we haven't got any place to go." And this was about 8 families with their children. And once we got to the airport, then my father complained, and they brought us back. There is a in Bombay. There is a kabutar khana. There is a place where a lot of pigeon flies about, and there's a hotel there. So we were put up in the hotel for the night, and next morning we did catch the plane, and it took us 5 days to get from Bombay to London airport.